welcome to Sparkling Diamonds with Brittany and Robin. This is Robin doing a mental health awareness day 3, I think. Day 3. It's May the 3rd, 2025. So today I thought I'd do mental health day while I was diamond painting. So today I thought I'd talk about what do you do, like if you have mental illness like anxiety or depression or any other kind of illness, really. Say when you're sick, I think of a stoplight, red, yellow, green. And red means you're sick and green means you're well. And so yellow is the warning. And a warning can be, what does it look like when you're going toward the green or your wellness? And what does it look like when you're going toward the red or your illness, meaning symptoms? So I use depression and anxiety because they're probably the most common mental illnesses that you see, and every mental disorder usually has symptoms of depression and anxiety incorporated into it, whether you have bipolar disorder, ADHD, personality disorder, any of those, OCD, all those diagnoses have anxiety and depression built into them. And so when we're doing well, like we know what that looks like for the most part. We're getting up in the morning and say making your bed and taking a shower and brushing your teeth and going to work if you work, taking your kids to school, or if you're a stay-at-home mom, cleaning your home or going about your daily chores. And if you're ill, that could look like you don't want to get out of bed. You stay in bed all day. You maybe take your kids to school and come back home and get back to bed. Or you don't take a shower. You don't brush your teeth. But usually before you get to that severe illness, there are warning signs. And that's the yellow. And knowing what your warning signs are key to avoiding getting ill. So when you start realizing that let's say for me, for example, I realize I'm not making my bed every morning. And I realize some people don't choose to make their bed every morning. And that is perfectly okay. You don't have to make your bed every morning. But if I'm not making my bed, and if I'm just gonna get out of bed and leave my bed unmade, that's usually not a good sign for me. That means that is a warning sign that I'm going toward my red or getting depressed. Let's talk about other warning signs that I typically see with patients. Self-care is a big one. You're not going to bed. You're not getting up on time. You're just not sleeping, or you're sleeping all the time. You don't want to get out of bed. You're neglecting your self-care, brushing your teeth, taking a shower. You don't want to leave your house. And all those signs are signs that, you're going toward illness or red. And so what I tell my patients to do is actually draw a stoplight. Draw 3 circles, one for red, one for yellow, and one for green. And write down what your green is. When you're at your best, what does that look like? Does that look like you get out of bed at a certain time? You go to bed at a certain time? You get out and you take a walk? You eat healthy? You cook healthy? You engage in activities that you like, that fills your cup up? You call your support system? Whatever it is that is your green. Write those things down, whatever makes you happy. And then what is it that is your red? So for example, if you're staying in bed, or you know, you're not taking a shower, or you're not calling your support system, or you're not engaging in activities that fill your cup up. Maybe you're canceling your appointments, your therapy appointments, or you're stop taking your medication for mental illness, or you start missing some doses. And all those are warning signs that you are getting ill. And so if you can make yourself aware of what that looks like, that is the biggest preventer of getting in that slump to where you can't get out of it, because knowledge is the number one key. So when you realize, you know, patients will come to me sometimes and they'll be really, really depressed, and we work really hard and get them out of that depression. And then when we do that, they're like, I don't want to go back there again. How do I not go back there again? And that is exactly what we talked about. Like, what was it like when you were there? And so we will keep an eye on, if you start doing these things, then those are warning signs that you could be exhibiting some symptoms of your mental illness again, or going toward your illness, the red. You know, for bipolar people, it's maybe you're spending more money that you don't have, or you're engaging in reckless behavior that you normally wouldn't engage in, or you're going days without sleep, and you have lots of energy, or maybe you're just really irritable and you're grumpy at everybody, and you are picking, you know nobody's done anything, but you're really angry at them, and you're taking it on the people that you care about, but you're not really sure why. Everybody's green, yellow, and red looks different. And so I think it's important for you to write down what yours looks like. And if you aren't, you know, sometimes it does take like a good therapist or a good friend or family member to be like, hey, something's not quite right, you know, and usually this is a person that you trust and that they care about you, and in a gentle way they say, I feel like you've been acting differently the last few days. Is there anything I can do to help? Because the people around you usually notice it before you do. And so oftentimes I say a lot of my patients I've worked with for years, and I can often tell within the first 2 or 3 minutes when they either come in my office or they log on for a telehealth appointment, something's wrong. And I'll be like, I'll say, hey, how are you? And they go, okay. But I say, are you really okay? Because something looks wrong. And sometimes I'm wrong and they really are okay. And maybe they're just having a stressful day. But it doesn't really matter. Like a stressful day, one stressful day can lead to multiple stressful days that can lead you into illness. I say even happy things, like, so stressors like getting married, graduating, moving, getting a new job, all those kind of things, like they're happy things. But you know, when you look at the things that cause stress, they're also in the top 10 things that cause stress. You know, in addition to getting a divorce, moving, starting a new job, having a baby. And so like when I would say look up the most stressful things, or what are right now the world is a stressful place. And so be really aware of that, and then know like, okay, everything is very stressful in my life right now. And you know, even if you don't want to talk about it, just maybe have that person, your person that you can go to and say, I'm not quite feeling right. I don't want to talk about it right now, but I'm just letting you know. If I don't act like myself, that's why. And you know, and maybe they'll say, what can I do to help you? And, encourage me to go for a walk. Some people that irritate you even more, I know, but encourage me to go for a walk, or just ask, have you taken your meds today? Or if you take like an as-needed medication, maybe they can say, have you taken your as-needed medication to help? There are lots of things that you can do before you get in that rut. And I would say the number one suggestion is getting a really good therapist. And if you're like, Robin, how can I afford therapy? I will say there are a lot of places have therapists that have sliding scales. So that's something to look into. Oh no, I think I just put down the wrong color. Maybe only on one. I have a sliding scale for some of my clients, and so that is something you can do. And like if I have a client that loses insurance, I don't stop seeing them because they lose insurance. We work out something, and so that might be something you can also talk with your provider about. And so there are options out there. There are places that have reduced costs for therapy. So I would say get a therapist. That's number one. And so even if it's a therapist once a month, once every couple of months, and then know your list. Know what it is that is your triggers, your warning signs, and know what your wellness looks like and know what your illness looks like. And that is my mental health tip for day number 3. So tomorrow we are live, and I think what we're going to do is I will answer mental health questions on our live, and then that will be our mental health day, May 4th day, and that means what will I do on May 6th? I am not sure. I have a calendar every day. I have to check the calendar to see when we're going to talk about pressure. One day I've got next week to talk about pressure into people. Somebody mentioned like there's a lot of pressure in the diamond painting community, like unboxings and small shop hauls, and people feel this pressure to buy things and go into debt for it. And how do you overcome that kind of pressure? And so we're going to talk about that. And if you have anything that you would like to talk about, a mental illness you would like more information about, like, one of the biggest, I will say, pet peeves really of mine is, I can't tell you how many times a week I have a new patient that comes to me. I bet you every other new patient. And I say, what's your diagnosis? And they say, I'm not sure, or nobody's really ever told me, or they don't know what medications. They know their medications, but they're not sure what they're taking it for. I had a patient recently that was on a medication that was a pretty strong medication for bipolar disorder, yet she doesn't have bipolar disorder and didn't need this medication. And the therapist had not even told her the medication was for bipolar disorder. I had another patient who had a binge eating disorder, and she was on a medication to take at night for sleep that makes you very hungry during the day, and she would gain 40 pounds. And the therapist, while trying to help her with her binge eating, was not telling her this medication causes hunger. And so I'm happy to talk about, I won't give you medical advice, but I'll talk about diagnosis. I'll talk about if you have somebody that has a mental health diagnosis and you like tips and tricks on how to live with that person. I do actually think there is a suggestion I had about how to live with people who have mental illness, whether it's substance abuse, depression, anxiety, bipolar, personality disorder. Those are some, I'd say substance abuse and personality disorders are probably the most difficult people to live with if they're not in treatment and it's not being managed. Because oftentimes you feel like you're walking on eggshells. And so we'll talk about how do you help those people without hurting their feelings or without feeling like you're stepping on their toes or violating the privacy or being overbearing. All right, guys, that is it for, I hope all of you, I hope all of you are enjoying, it's a beautiful day here. All of you are doing well, and I hope your mental health is doing well as well. If it is pretty where you are, get out and take a walk, taking this beautiful day. If it's not pretty outside or it's dark and you're hearing this, and you're sitting around, maybe go walk up and down some stairs or walk around your house and straighten up a corner or something that give you some energy, and then do something that brings you joy, whether it's a diamond painting, a crossword puzzle, a cross stitch. Do something that makes you happy. All right, guys, that's it. Don't forget to be kind both to everybody in the real world, in social media, and in the comment section. And I will see you tomorrow in our live. Bye.